Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Sherwood, and this is the final version of Toy Box. As you can see, everything's a little more colored in, it seems a little more lived in, but the idea was still to keep it bare, A, for just processing's sake, and B, because I don't want the world to be too distracting. Keep in mind that you are only supposed to be playing in the tiny play space of the table, and if too much was going on in the outer rim, it would be distracting. So, giving it a closer look, one thing I noticed that was difficult with Unreal Engine is that it doesn't seem to appreciate when you make new materials, so each material had to have two, one for darker shading, one for lighter, so that you could distinguish the different sides. Originally, the block fortress was also supposed to be made out of colors, but again, when I made the train, I realized that it was a little too bright, so while I think it's good for some of the things on the outside because it needs to maintain the fact that it is a small child's toy set, I wanted to make sure that the level didn't actually hurt your eyes as you played it. So in order to fill things in, for the most part, things just needed to be colored. The set design was more or less complete during the last phase, but the soldiers have now been colored, given plastic stands. The colors have been added to the edges. Once again, it's only that colorful near the outskirts because it didn't want to be distracting. For example, there's a few posters on the walls, but I wanted them to be high up and I wanted them to be fairly inconsequential so that you weren't staring at them too long. The marbles have now been turned into marbles and not just little balls. And now the Lego set is one of those cool ones that only the rich uncles gave their kids because it has all the layout and the exciting design of a complete set, not just random generic ones. Once again, the idea was to make sure that it reflected what I had created in my previous level while also still being something unique and new. It is a Lego set, but it is a Lego set meant to look like the space level. For example, the lights have been replaced with a Lego dot light instead of anything else. The barrels are still Lego barrels, and the platforms are still Lego platforms. Coming upstairs, everything is made out of Lego. It's just the exciting kind that every kid wanted. Moving on to the fort, one of the best materials I was able to find was this slightly brighter wood, because this is the sort of thing that I grew up with, where you had different shapes of blocks, and then the rest of it was up to you to make different forts. A lot of the cones and stuff on the top often were different colors, so I wanted to make sure that I maintained that idea. And bridges and walkways needed to stand out amongst the rest of the brown in order to make sure that you recognized what was a path that was meant for moving around in. For the most part, nothing needed to be added or changed because, again, the hope was to make this look like a child's table. And while I could add plants and tables and things like that all around, it wouldn't make a lot of sense since this is supposed to be a toy area. The crayon has been colored in to look like a brown crayon, even with a slightly larger outside to look like the wrapper for it. But for the most part, everything stayed roughly the same. Again, the hope was to make sure that the level looked like a child's table, not like a lived-in world, despite the fact that that is exactly what it is. It's a lived-in child's table, so this is allowed to be a little more cluttered and messy, but I didn't want minute details because they're just toys, and that's all. The books have been colored in, the spoon has been made out of metal, and the bedroom has been given sheets and blankets and a carpet and some of the toys that fell down, things like that. The Jenga blocks are no longer just a dull beige, but actually wood, and the ruler is a ruler, not just a long stick. So the idea was basically just fill in what you could, and for the most part, this is it. This is Toy Block. Thank you for watching.